Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Honestly, first of all, we give God all the glory for the gift of life, and we like to say, praise be to the name of the Most High for this privilege. We are back again, and it is another new week, the 18th day in the month of September 2023. Wow, the month is fast coming to an end. It's splitted already into half, but we pray God Almighty will be with each and every one of us. Good to be back once again, Morning Spring, live from Western Spring Television, and most especially, thank God that our director is back. He wasn't stranded. I would have wanted to see how he would have walked from where he went and how he walked up in here. It probably would have taken him 25 months to get back to Osun State. But
be careful of what you wish for. This battle you are drawing, the battle line you are drawing, so, you'll be able to go all the way.
Thank you. Thank God that you're back. And it's kind of like looking fresh up. It's good to be with one's family.
Yeah.
All right, this is what we do Mondays through Fridays, 7 a.m., always on your faces, on your screen at this point in time. And we like to say thank you for keeping it real with us. Welcome to Morning Spring. TUNDE IDOWU is my name. At Irresistible TV on X.
Of course, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. It is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, the station that says it as it is. This is where we discuss very important and topical and trending issues of public importance on the station at this time, on this program, 7 a.m. every weekday. Femi Ojo is my name. Please do well to follow us on all our social media handles. We are live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television, and of course on the Start Time, channel 190 DTT. That is where we are right now. And of course, today promises to be very, very interesting. The program, we'll be discussing peace. As some say, the absence of peace is not what anyone should hope for. Absolutely. No one should work for. Peace is is a thing that we all need in every society, at every sphere of life, human endeavor, because it's when a society or community is peaceful, that's where you can talk about thinking through development, progress, and the rest of it. And now, Osun State, there seems to be two communities at each other's throat. We'll be, talking on that. A communique has been released by the state government in that regard. We'll speak on these and more. But firstly, we go to the papers now to see and for us to bring to you what the papers are saying, the major stories and our major dailies for today. Femi Ojo, once again, is my name at Femi Ojo Live on X. We'll take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll get straight to the dailies. Good morning.
The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike reflected his personal and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works Obakoso, Obawaja and Moremi took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Hilas Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapo War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming motor sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year civil war also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kunmi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North and South.
All right, let's begin the show this morning as we take up with stories making the round from the different dailies that we have with us right here. But for the benefit of those who are just viewing us at this moment in time, I'd like to also let you know that on all our social media handles, we are live and kicking. On Facebook, Instagram, and on X. On our YouTube channel, we are at Western Spring Television. Welcome to Morning Spring, and let's get this show started. And joining us at this moment in time is the public affairs analyst, social commentator, and our in-house analyst. It's a pleasure to have Mr. Ladeji Alabi. So he has this scary thing. If you don't do it the right way, you probably hear from him at the end of the month. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure to join you on the show. Good morning.
Right, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin to check some of the headlines making the round from the different dailies this morning. I'll take my first shot from the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper has the big bold headline, which so many Nigerians at this point in time would not want to hear. But it's all evident. Marketers eye fresh fuel price hike as crude hits $94. And NATO plans price hike, raises concern over federal government's insistence on 617 naira per litre petrol price. Operators insist petrol subsidy returning gradually. NNPCL gets 3 new VPs. Let's look at this together at this point in time. Nigerians are groaning. Nigerians are crying. We're wailing, most especially those, even it's not compulsory that you have a car, because when you have to pay for fares, transportation fare, at this moment in time, you have to, it's cutthroat at this moment. What do you make of this? Marketers eye fresh fuel price hike as crude hits $94. There's no way we can take away the crude from the world, from OPEC, all this oil giants, giants.
International dimension to this.
We cannot take it away. But is there, do you feel in your own perspective that there can be a way the federal government can go about this without looking at the international dimension?
Well, once again, thank you very much for having me on the show this morning. Let me just start from this scary note that we've not seen the list of the hike in fuel price. The reality is that we are not the determinants of the price. The price is determined by the international, operators. And if we want to be a major player, first thing and the most important thing we need to do is to make our refineries working. We spend billions of naira on these refineries every year, renovations. We have people we pay as staff there doing nothing, and at the end of everything, we can even refine a liter of PMS for people to use. So if we want to get out of this quagmire, we need to make our refineries work. And I think government also needs to be sincere. The current president said full subsidy is gone. But now we are hearing, maybe by the corners or by whatever, that is gradually coming back, because you cannot approbate and reprobate at the same time. You can't say you want to deregulate and in a way you still want to handle the pricing. So I think the government need to first make our refineries work, then also allow more importers bring in the fuel. Don't make NNPC alone the sole importer of these major products that affect And you agree with me that the moment the fuel price goes up in Nigeria, virtually every other thing goes up with it. So it is important that we make the refineries work. And it won't be, just an overnight thing.
Yeah.
It will be a gradual process, but people must see the sincerity of purpose from the government.
And we are moving on quickly, still from the front page of the Punch newspaper. This is so amazing and amusing at this moment in time. NDLEA rescues pregnant teenager, arrests suspected drug trafficker. What amuses me from that picture you probably be seeing on the front page of the Punch newspaper on your screen is they have devised a means of moving these substances out of the country. You can see it on the shoe heel of a lady's shoe. You can see substances kept in there. But look at the face of the guy, the drug trafficker. The guy seemed to be all smiling. Then we'll find a way to say this. And coming down to the bottom strip, Oyomesi awaiting Makinde on new Alaafin, that's credited to the Bashorun. And 2 hospitalized as 500-room Lagos building collapses. You cannot take that away from Lagos and wonder why. Cardoso, National Assembly plans quick screening, private sector demand reforms. Looking at this young man, Cardoso, looking at his reputation, he's worked during the time now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was governor of Lagos State. And I don't know, he seemed to have the credentials. I don't know, what do you make of this man? Looking at the background, looking at his credentials, for me, it seems as if he's going to really be able to do something. What do you make of this man?
Oh, well, of course, I also hope he would be able to bring in the necessary reform we need in the BAM, the Central Bank of Nigeria. We need a good regulator this time around, and like you mentioned, aside his own, pedigree also, his dad was the first Accountant General of Nigeria. 60 years apart now, we have the son, becoming the Central Bank governor. We just hope, because we need everything to work. We need all our systems, all our agencies to start working. The reality on ground is eating hard on the citizens, and if you go out there, you see people complaining every now and then. So we need both, the monetary policy and the fiscal policies to work fine now. And I hope Cardoso, I will be able to bring answers to the questions a lot of Nigerians are asking.
On the top strip of the Punch newspaper, FG Labour meets today on post-subsidy talks. Back and forth. Federal government, Labour, federal government here in Labour preparing to come up with another indefinite strike at this moment in time. Good move if they can sit together, dialogue, and not bring that aspect of strike action, indefinite strike action.
Well, the best thing is a dialogue. Even in war situation, they will tell you that before going to war, it is better we go on the dialogue table, because even when you fight the war, you still need to return to the dialogue table. So for me, I think the federal government would do themselves a lot of good if they can negotiate with the labor, make things work. We can't, afford to go on another indefinite strike. Now, it's not looking good for us. We must get everything working. We can't afford to start losing money unnecessarily.
12.5 kilograms cooking gas price may hit 18,000 naira December.
Okay.
Is that not scary?
Scary. More than scary, if you ask.
Umahi woos presidency as contractors oppose concrete roads. Just make the roads work. Either concrete, either sand. Look, if you probably, if you're traveling between Akure, Ekiti, Akure, flying the Elisha, the expressway, coming to Ibadan, that road is scary. If it's going to be concrete, if it's going to be asphalt, please, let's just have good roads nationwide. That'll be all from the pages of the Punch newspaper.
All right, we move to the Vanguard. Time is really of essence this morning. Straight to the Vanguard. And we have these bold headline there. Outreach as RMAFC, that's Ramfac, defends jumbo pay of National Assembly members. Others. Outreach as RMAFC defends jumbo pay of NAS members. Others. Would riders it's disheartening, unjustifiable, unacceptable. That's coming from NLC and the NECA. And another writer, it's heartless. That's coming from AKINYOOYE. It is insensitive. Labour Party, I support living wage for all. OROLU. Of course, you have the picture of Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President, Mr. Peter Obi of the LP, Adewale Smarto Yerinde, the DG for NECA. DG, Jumbo Pay, outrage as RMAFC defends Jumbo Pay of National Assembly members, others. Different kind of description, disheartening, unjustifiable, unacceptable, heartless, insensitive. Where do you stand?
Well, I stand with that. It is very, very disheartening that at this time that, our political leaders are encouraging the citizens, to take time, give them time, let us, all of us, let us manage the situation. But here we are, while you are busy giving people 2 Congos of rice as palliatives, you are giving yourself 2024 SUVs as palliatives. These things are not balanced. If you want people to make the sacrifice, show the attitude. Show it that you also are making the sacrifice. Yeah. This is not the best time of you going there. And as a matter of fact, I'm not sure, maybe for the new members of the National Assembly, I'm not sure any one of them is out there that doesn't have, a very good sports utility vehicle. They have them already. So why don't you make the sacrifice? Let's pump all this money into all the sectors. Let's make the road good. Let's make the education sectors working. Yeah. The hospitals, let's make them more. This is what can affect everybody. But if you guys keep paying yourself, huge amounts, sum of money, and you're asking the citizens, to keep, bearing the brunt, I tell you for free that it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time.
All right. If I will, and which I am, I want to integrate further very briefly. Are we not just being too harsh on the National Assembly, talking about their remuneration? Because one will say, why do we always speak up, being loud about the remuneration of the National Assembly? We don't interrogate what goes on in the ministries. The ministers earn possibly the same or more. The MDAs of the government, many of them are very fat salary, but we're only usually talking about the National Assembly.
The reality...
Isn't that being unfair?
Well, they have been unfair to the citizens first. Let me ask you, Femi, how much is the salary of a classroom teacher? How much is the salary of a medical doctor? Now, so if Nigerians are asking for this, I don't think it is too much. And thanks to someone like former Senator Shehu Sani that came out to say even monthly as a pay, they take home about 13 million naira as a salary. That is aside constituency allowance. Do you know National Assembly members take at-chip allowance? Do you know National Assembly members take, clothes allowance? They take newspaper allowance. They take gadget allowance. Different form of allowance. Yeah. And I can tell you for free that at the end of the month, you can be talking about close to 100 million naira on each of the senators, on each of the National Assembly members. So if Nigerians are asking them, don't forget also, they are meant to be the checks. But he who want to come to justice, he want to come with to justice, equity must come with a clean hand. Yeah. If you want to check the executive, yes, all the ministers you mentioned are under the executive. If you want to be the check for the executive, you yourself must come with a clean hand. Yeah,
that's right. That's so, because I had to ask that question because most of the times we'll focus on them, but then he has spoken about it. Salaries, sometimes they appear as not too much, but then it's the allowances. Some of them monthly, some of them yearly, some of them in 4 years as well. But then, just like you said, now you must be seen, talking about the leaders across board now, show the example. They are telling the people to tighten their belt. Some will even tell you there's no more belt to even tighten. Moving on, the top street there, federal government inherited 14 trillion naira debt, over 2,600 roads projects. That's coming from Humai, the Minister of Works. But one will say, in as much you are inheriting the paraphernalia of office, you inherit the asset and liabilities, of course, as well. Now, Nigeria failed aviation safety audit. That's serious. Student visa, UK hikes fees for Nigerian others, DG. And you know why I'm asking you this question.
Well, yes.
Student visa, UK hikes fees for Nigerians others? Is this the cost of running the process, or they just see that Nigerians will pay? How?
Now, what the reality is, they know Nigerians will pay, and even others. And as a matter of fact, let me just state it categorically that we are not the highest number of travelers in the world. We don't travel as much as the Indians. We don't travel as much as the Pakistanis.
But if you have to take it in percentage population.
Well, no, it's because we make too much too much noise about our traveling. We don't travel as much as those people. But that aside, it's not only the UK that has increased the visa price. As a matter of fact, this year alone, the US visa price has changed, from between $65 to $80-something. Some has increased over $100, depending on the category. Now, for the UK, what makes it look a bit ridiculous is that the increase is as much as 300 to 600% increase from what it usually, was meant to be.
Do you think they are taking advantage of us?
Of course, yes. Like they do say, even though it may not relate directly, but they say a debtor, is always a slave to the creditor. Now, in this case, we are going there to look for greener pasture, and they know they are doing everything possible to cut, the rate of people coming. But I can just tell them for free,
But this regard, you are talking about student visa.
Student visa, whatever. Don't forget also that this year UK has changed their, their travel document and conditions for students coming for their master's education. Before now, you can travel with your family, but from January 2024, you have to come alone and possibly maybe after your education return back to your own country. So they are doing everything possible. They know we are going to pay. They know if you look at how much people pay to get a UK visa, even as a student, you are talking about the visa alone. You're not talking about the IHS, you're not talking about the medicals you are going to do. So this money goes into millions of naira. So the non-Nigerians will pay because people really want to leave. People are looking at the probability of, if I stay back here, what are the conditions? If I have 20 million naira, I'm only a kidnapped victim away from being a poor guy. I'm only sickness away from being a poor guy. But if I go there, I know gradually, I can get my life on the balance again.
All right, but they say at the end of the day, not all that is green is
not all that green are good.
Yeah, of course, it may look lush green.
People want to manage it irrespective of how you want to place it. People still feel no matter how it looks over there, if you pay for electricity, you get electricity. If you pay for internet, you get internet. You drive on good roads. At least nowhere in the world is 100% safe, but you can be rest assured that you can drive 4, 5, 6 hours and nobody's going to kidnap you.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but then we don't have to paint the picture of gloom and doom.
Of course,
here in Nigeria.
Nigeria is, as a matter of fact, one of the best places to live in the world. For a lot of people, because they feel you can get away with a lot of things here. You can drive 100 kilometers.
Let me cut it there, DG, because it appears your face is betraying what you are saying. But really, time is of essence this morning. I'm afraid we might just have to end it there on the conversation, because we have a very long way to go this morning, talking about peace in the nation, peace in the state, peace in our communities. I want to sincerely thank you, Ladeji Alabi, for coming.
It's a pleasure.
And we hope to see more of you as well.
Of course, yes.
Thank you. Of course, we'll go on a short break right now. When we come back, the conversation properly will begin. It's the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Please stay with us.
Samuel Ladoke Akintola was a frontal figure in the historical moves that birthed an independent Nigeria from colonial Britain. As a freedom activist, he deployed his wits, energy, intellect, and oratory skills to prepare the grounds for constitutional talks that eventually culminated in the country's independence in 1960. The 13th Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land cut his teeth as a politician when he became a foundation member of Action Group, the dominant political party in the Western region, and was elected the party's parliamentary leader of opposition at the Federal House of Representatives. The crisis in the Action Group, which pitched Samuel Ladoke Akintola against his leader, was not only a sore point in his colorful political life, but a reversal of gains which characterized the exemplary leadership of Awolowo Akintola premiership. 23 years after his death, Oyo State University of Technology Ogbomosho was renamed Samuel Ladoke Akintola University of Technology to keep his memory alive. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ladoke Akintola as a major character in history. Born 16th September 1923, named Harry Lee Kwan and known as Lee Kuan Yew, he was often addressed by his initials of LKY. Lee Kuan Yew was a barrister and the first Prime Minister of Singapore between 1959 and 1990. Educated at Raffles Institution from 1936 to 1940 and the Fitzwilliam House between 1947 and 1949, Lee Kuan Yew established a highly effective and anti-corrupt governance system that midwifed the transformation of Singapore into a high net worth income economy within a generation. He never hid his exception to Western mode democratic ideal, which he believed had not assisted developing nations to attain good government. Before his death on 23 March 2015, the People's Action Party, which he founded, had used his political influence to establish the United World College of Southeast Asia to expand his economic ideas among countries that constitute the Asian Tiger. Western Spring Television identifies Lee Kuan Yew as a major character in history. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was an anti-apartheid activist who gave his all for the elimination of what has been described as the world's most vicious rule of the unjust and man's inhumanity against man. He was born July 18, 1918 in Mvezo, South Africa. Educated and trained as a successful legal practitioner, he took up the gauntlet of a human activist against segregation by the minority white supremacists in South Africa. At the climax of his trial for treason, orchestrated by the minority South African government, the great crusader for democratic equality was prepared to pay the supreme sacrifice to establish majority rule in his native land. He told white jurists that if achieving freedom for his people was worth his life, he was prepared to die. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in Robben Island, described as the most notorious prison in the world. It was from this same prison that he came out as a free man to assume office as South Africa's first black president in 1994. Western Spring Television identifies Nelson Mandela as a watershed character in history. Aminatu, the legendary Queen of Zazzau, is best known to historians as Queen Amina of Zaria, an old walled town and capital of the Hausa state of Zazzau. Amina was a great warrior and the first woman to rule the ancient kingdom of Zazzau. Her 34 years as queen witnessed an unprecedented expansion of Zazzau by conquests. Queen Amina of Zaria belongs to the class of Amazons by the might of her army and her strings of conquests. She opened Zaria to trans-border trade and was said to have initiated kola nut cultivation in the ancient kingdom. The Hausa Muslim figure was born in 1533 and died in 1610 at the age of 77 years. Folklores remember Aminatu, the Queen of Zazzau, as a brave, smart and talented leader whose giant statue now adorns the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, Nigeria, while many educational institutions bear her name. Western Spring Television identifies Queen Amina as a watershed character in history. It was a Euro-American trade in slaves by which 12.5 million Africans were captured from their indigenous homelands and transported via the Atlantic to Europe and the Americas. The transatlantic slave, also known as triangular trade, was the worst form of man's inhumanity to man and the most costly in human life of all long-distance global migrations. Hundreds of Africans chained tightly to plank beds in the belly of slave ships in horrific conditions were transported via the Atlantic and stripped of all human dignity on arrival in Europe and America. It is the greatest crime the Caucasians committed against the black race. It is impossible to discuss the transatlantic slave trade without a copious reference to impoverishment and underdevelopment of Africa and its peoples. The triangular trade left the continent in ruins. Western Spring Television identifies transatlantic slave trade as a watershed event in history.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be showing on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window without realizing that most scientists are Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve AKINYOOYE.
And I am Dr. ADEOYE Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Evelyn Ohiole,
Hi.
King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine will be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and it feels so reserved. It really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe it's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? You know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday? They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vague so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Who are you now?
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world, And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, is he actually out of this world? We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, MC Too Much, I beg you to talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss on us.
I think they have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach so much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his words, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which
All right, you're welcome back. It's still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We'll dive right into what is happening in IFON, between these two communities of IFON and Ilobu, who have been, together, for ages, but then some misgivings, some misconceptions, how do you say it now? Some challenges between them, between these two communities, and then things has not been going the way it's supposed to be. And just yesterday, the state government made a release, and declared a curfew between these two communities, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then we get to government perspective very shortly. But then we have on Zoom joining us this time, Mr. JARE TIAMIYU, and he's from IFON. Mr. TIAMIYU, good morning. Mr. TIAMIYU, good morning. Can you please unmute your...
Oh, good morning, Nigerians.
All right, yes, let's go. Time is really of essence. Now, the state government has declared a curfew, but give us an understanding. What is the grouse of the people of IFON on this matter?
However, let me firstly correct that I am not from IFON. I am from Ilobu.
Ilobu, rather.
Okay.
I beg your pardon.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm from Ilobu.
Yeah, from Ilobu.
Okay. I think this matter started about 3 weeks ago. I think today is Monday. Started on the 29th of August this year. That's about 3 weeks ago. And what actually happened was that the community was proposing to site a project, a developmental project in a part of Ilobu, and a day after there was a visitation team going to that community to go to that area to go and look at the kind of place they want to use and what exactly is happening there. So the second day, we had the people of IFON, our neighboring town that we have been for ages. We all grew up to know the love existing between these communities. However, we also grew up to know that there are issues around some areas within the two communities. So when they had that protest and a kind of press conference where they alleged Nigerian army, you will recall that the chief of army staff today is from Ilobu. So they alleged him of trying to cause a kind of chaos between the two communities. And the second day, the people of Ilobu also granted a press conference where they also stated that these are the situation of things between the two communities, and then this is why this project is to be sited in this area. So for that, we let the matter slide. However, I hope Mr. JIDE AKINYOOYE, Prince JIDE AKINYOOYE, as I do call him, Jide, He's a very good friend of mine. He's my biggest, is my bigger brother. We always talk, we relate very well. And he called me that night after we had the visitation that this is what they thought is happening. And then why will people of, why the Nigerian army be parading their lands without their consent? And I told him, sir, this is not the best way to resolve this matter. Can we sit down and talk about this? Can you send the number of the president of the IFON Progressive Union so that I send it to the president of the Ilobu Development Union, and they consider and iron out things. Sir, don't go into the media, you know. And he said they are going to have a meeting. After that day, I called him until 9:30 p.m. He said the meeting has not held. So the second day, I was just waiting for him to actually reach out, because he said he's going to reach out to me whatever is going to be the decision of the people of IFON. And the second day, the next thing, my attention was just drawn to the protests and the press statements where they alleged Nigerian army, all this and that. Okay, the second day, the people of Ilobu also addressed. So since that time, I want to say he has been going through the media, you know, here and there. So that has been, at least from that time till Friday, he has granted 3 press conferences and interviews. I mean, it was on Reef FM, it was on Fresh FM. He also had another press conference after our own that was held on the 30th of August. So as that was going, we also, I think at a point, somebody was also on Fresh FM. But however, they have had 4 press interviews and press conferences, while we had 2. So we just allowed it slide. On Friday, this very good brother, we spoke at length on Saturday because it's my very good friend. We do speak, we are friends, and I have friends across the 3 communities, Ilobu, IFON, and so I called, he was on Reef FM, it was on Fresh FM, another radio station in Osogbo, where he was making some statements. And I think at that point, he was making, there are some things that he was making on Fresh FM that I don't think they are the best thing, but however, we allowed that one to slide. The problem that we now have now is that on Saturday, a son of Ilobu was killed around Okpapa. The guy, his name is Sadiq Alamo, is from McDonald's compound. He was declared, he went to farm around Okpapa on Friday. So coming back on that Friday, he was declared missing because he could not return home. On Saturday early morning, people went to the area to go and look for him, and unfortunately, they met his dead body somewhere around the bush, and you know, he was shot from the back. I think the police also confirmed that he was shot from the back. The DPO in Ilobu led the team to go and recover the corpse. However, we cannot say this is the person that killed this man, or this is exactly what happened. So that created a lot of tension in the community. Yesterday again, the tension has been rising, and that was why the people of Ilobu made the statement, and the people of IFON also made the statement. The police also spoke on the killing of Sadiq Alamo. And yesterday, we got to know that there are some gunmen who attacked the community called Okanla. Okanla is a community within Ilobu. It's never at the boundary. If you know Ilobu very well, I can tell you that Okanla is closer to the bridge. I mean, the bridge here at Ojutu, while entering the community, than it is close to the function. So we will not get to Palace. It's about 1 kilometer from that Okanla to the Palace of Ilobu. When you are moving from Osogbo, I mean, after the bridge, you are moving to the town.
All right, Mr. TIAMIYU, let's delve to some time in the past. Have there been issues that weren't resolved before now? That will precede my next question.
Yes, there are issues that have not been resolved before now. And you know, I am also a journalist. I have to tell you what exactly has been the issue. In 2005, there was a communal clash between these 2 communities of Ilobu, and that was during the era of late Oba Orisato Yimbo, ASAKE Orisato Yimbo. ASAKE Orisato Yimbo Olufon Jeta, let me use that word. So there was a communal clash between the two communities over some areas, piece of land in some area of Akwinyooye and some other areas. But you know, we have been trying to manage it. We have been trying to see that what is important is peaceful coexistence. There is no family compound in Ilobu that you will not see that they have one wife or one of their daughters have married somebody from IFON. So we marry interchangeably. We marry from IFON, they marry from us. So it is like that. What is important is for us to have peaceful coexistence. However, there are still some other issues. There are court judgments, there are court cases. In 2018, in 2016, there was a gazette by the state government of Osun under the leadership of former Governor Rauf. And the state, I think the people of the communities, the three communities of Ilobu, IFON, and they called the boundary commission to come and look into some boundary disputes that have been reoccurring in the communities. And after that, there was a gazette that was released by the state government. The IFON people are challenging that in court. There was an high court judgment of 2018 that actually had thrown away the, what do you call it? That have thrown away the court judgment, the charges as in the suit of IFON people, are giving the judgment to the people of Ilobu. However, they are still at the High Court as I speak to you. So the matter is still pending at the Appeal Court in Akure, as far as I know.
Oh boy. Okay. We seem to be. I think
you're still with us.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. TIAMIYU, are you still there?
Yes, I'm with you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Now let's look at this. Would you say this is a boundary dispute? That's what emanated into this little friction that has sprung up in the last couple of weeks.
There's no other thing. It is a boundary dispute. That is no other thing.
Now, so as at this point in time, as at this morning in which we are, what is the latest? What is the situation? We've heard that the state government has placed a curfew out there, but within the community, what does it look like right now?
I want to say this. I think our people, the overzealousness of our people is actually, escalating the matter beyond the proportion. Yes, there was a kind of attack on Olokanla Palace yesterday, and a person was also killed yesterday. A car was also burnt. I think all these are in the police
Mr. TIAMIYU,
reports.
Mr. TIAMIYU, if I may come in, when you say overzealousness of our people, who are you referring to? Who are you referring to?
I'm referring to the people of the two communities.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the people of the two communities. I am from the Ilobu, and I think in fact that we are creating a lot of tension. I got into the community later yesterday, and the information I was getting were not just palatable. People say, they say we cannot sleep here. They say this thing. I said, look here. Nobody, as now, there is no clash. The only thing that we have is that the tension has been raised. And another thing that we have is the attack that we had yesterday. But with the people that carried out the attack, according to information, they covered their faces. There is only one person that could be identified. And I think the police are working on that. So what we have now is that, yes, there is a need for the curfew to be declared so that the tension can subside and everybody can just go back to their normal businesses. Because as we are speaking now, the tension is hitting the roof. And we cannot continue that way. So I just want to believe that our people should just mellow a bit and allow peace to reign, not making inflammatory statements on social media. And that is another issue that why I said the overzealousness of our people is not helping the matter.
All right.
Somebody from received calls from Lagos, from Abuja, even from outside Nigeria, saying all those things, saying that they have burnt houses, they have killed several people, and I said, look here. We are in this community and we know what is happening. These things are not happening, but the social media is actually escalating the matter.
All right. You are the PRO for Ilobu Descendant Union. And just a couple of clarifications before we allow you to go this morning. You said a farmer was shot and killed in Okpapa. I hope I get that pronunciation right.
Yes, Okpapa, yes.
Yes, where is Okpapa? Is it in Ilobu or in IFON?
Okpakpa is one of the disputed area.
Okay.
In Ilobu or in IFON?
In IFON, in Ilobu. You know what happened is this. If you know people that understand the way Ilobu is, when you get to the house of Right Honorable Lasso Yusuf, and after that road that goes straight, the road enters from even before the palace of Olobu. So you will be going straight. It's like about 3.1 kilometers from the federal road we have here. I mean, the federal road, the Ilobu road.
All right.
So there is a junction before you get to the palace. That junction, we call it Okekere. From that junction, you go straight into the community, into Ilobu. Just be entering Ilobu and be going before like about 3 kilometers, you get into Okpakpa. And Okpakpa has been occupied by Ilobu people. If you get there, they have 90 to 95% of persons living there are from Ilobu.
All right. You know.
And it is even under Irekodun local government.
Okay, all right.
The state gets from providers.
All right. You talked about the fact that misinformation is playing a very huge part in this. That persons are they are giving wrong information on the matter. Let me ask you, what is the Ilobu Descendant Union doing on this to correct this and to send the right message to people? Number two, to douse this tension. And as at this morning, what's the atmosphere like in Ilobu?
The Ilobu, if you read the statement of the PRO on Saturday, you will realize there was a paragraph dedicated to calling on the people to be peaceful and remain calm and let the security do their work. And also, if you see, you get to the palace of Ilobu, and you can send people there without, revealing their identities, you will realize that the statement that the Ilobu of Ilobu has been making since he was in the community since yesterday was that nobody should take ordinary stone. And even yesterday, when I received the call that some people were arrested in IFON, that some people went to IFON overnight and they were arrested. I told my president, and my president said, "Who sent them? This is not what we told people to do. So whoever is arrested, the police will do their work, and we are not for violence at all." Let me state this: in the recent times, we had issues with the people of Erosun. The Commissioner for Information is from Erosun. Today, we have had a series of meetings where we have been able to identify what the problem is. We have identified that the problem is not about even divide. It's a matter of misinformation from a quarter to another quarter. And that was what led to the issue that we had in 2021. But I can tell you that as we are speaking now, we are very good. The Commissioner for Information and Public Relations was part of the delegate that met with us some weeks ago, and a lot of issues have been resolved.
All right, I want to say thank you for your take this morning. The PRO for the Ilobu Descendant Union, Mr. TIAMIYU. Thank you for your time, and we hope in your capacity as this PRO, you spread the right information to the people as well. Thank you for being part of the program. And of course, we'll go on a very
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we'll go on a short break right now. When we come back, the conversation will continue. Please stay with us.
Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his personal and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja and Moremi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Kololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Hilas Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark mustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapo War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming mortar sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year Civil War also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kuromi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North and South Korea. Japan had leveraged on its military power to annex Korea in 1900 and imposed a military union that did not sit well with the citizens. Japan not only lost its war of conquest against Korea, all its powers were obliterated by the effect of the World War II. The end of World War II got Korea divided into two nations along 38 parallel lines by the instrumentality of the United States of America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. The Korean War lapsed into a Cold War when it stopped the prying eyes of external forces into the internal affairs of a nation now divided along its north and southern territories. Western Spring Television identifies the Korean War as a major event in history. Samuel Ladoke Akintola was a frontal figure in the historical moves that birthed an independent Nigeria from colonial Britain. As a freedom activist, he deployed his wits, energy, intellect, and oratory skills to prepare the grounds for constitutional talks that eventually culminated in the country's independence in 1960. The 13th Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land cut his teeth as a politician when he became a foundation member of Action Group, the dominant political party in the Western region, and was elected the party's parliamentary leader of opposition at the Federal House of Representatives. The crisis in the Action Group, which pitched Samuel Ladoke Akintola against his leader, was not only a sore point in his colorful political life, but a reversal of gains which characterized the exemplary leadership of Awolowo Akintola premiership. 23 years after his death, Oyo State University of Technology Ogbomosho was renamed Samuel Ladoke Akintola University of Technology to keep his memory alive. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ladoke Akintola as a major character in history. Born 16th September 1923, named Harry Lee Kwan and known as Lee Kuan Yew, he was often addressed by his initials of LKY, Lee Kuan Yew was a barrister and the first Prime Minister of Singapore between 1959 and 1990. Educated at Raffles Institution from 1936 to 1940 and the Fitzwilliam House between 1947 and 1949, Lee Kuan Yew established a highly effective and anti-corrupt governance system that midwives the transformation of Singapore into a high net worth income economy within a generation. He never hid his exception to Western mode democratic ideal, which he believed had not assisted developing nations to attain good government. Before his death on 23rd March 2015, the People's Action Party, which he founded, had used his political influence to establish the United World College of Southeast Asia to expand his economic ideas among countries that constitute the Asian Tiger. Western Spring Television identifies Lee Kuan Yew as a major character in history. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was an anti-apartheid activist who gave his all for the elimination of what has been described as the world's most vicious rule of the unjust and man's inhumanity against man. He was born July 18, 1918 in Mvezo, South Africa. Educated and trained as a successful legal practitioner, he took up the gauntlet of a human activist against segregation by the minority white supremacists in South Africa. At the climax of his trial for treason, orchestrated by the minority South African government, the great crusader for democratic equality was prepared to pay the supreme sacrifice to establish majority rule in his native land. He told white jurists that if achieving freedom for his people was worth his life, he was prepared to die. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in Robben Island, described as the most notorious prison in the world. It was from this same prison that he came out as a free man to assume office as South Africa's first black president in 1994. Western Spring Television identifies Nelson Mandela as a watershed character in history. Aminatu, the legendary Queen of Zazzau, is best known to historians as Queen Amina of Zaria, an old walled town and capital of the Hausa state of Zazzau. Amina was a great warrior and the first woman to rule the ancient kingdom of Zazzau. Her 34 years as queen witnessed an unprecedented expansion of Zazzau by conquests. Queen Amina of Zaria belongs to the class of Amazons by the might of her army and her strings of conquests. She opened Zaria to trans-border trade and was said to have initiated kola nut cultivation in the ancient kingdom. The Hausa Muslim figure was born in 1533 and died in 1610 at the age of 77 years. Folklores remember Aminatu, the Queen of Zazzau, as a brave, smart and talented leader whose giant statue now adorns the National Arts Theatre in Lagos, Nigeria, while many educational institutions bear her name. Western Spring Television identifies Queen Amina as a watershed character in history. It was a Euro-American trade in slaves by which 12.5 million Africans were captured from their indigenous homelands and transported via the Atlantic to Europe and the Americas. The transatlantic slave, also known as triangular trade, was the worst form of man's inhumanity to man and the most costly in human life of all long-distance global migrations. Hundreds of Africans chained tightly to plank beds in the belly of slave ships in horrific conditions were transported via the Atlantic and stripped of all human dignity on arrival in Europe and America. It is the greatest crime the Caucasians committed against the black race. It is impossible to discuss the transatlantic slave trade without a copious reference to impoverishment and underdevelopment of Africa and its peoples. The triangular trade
Thank you for being here with us. It's still Morning Spring from Western Spring Television. We have been discussing quite a whole lot concerning what has been transpiring around our communities right here in Osun State, the IFON-OROLU community disputes, a mixture of disagreements that has been ravaging that community in the last couple of days and weeks. But by and large, we've just spoken with the PRO, Ilobu, ASAKE descendant, in the person of Mr. JARE TIAMIYU, and he's been able to reel out his side of the story. We've heard quite a whole lot, but right here at Western Spring Television, we try as much as possible to balance it and to hear and say it as it is. We will be joined also via the call this morning. We'll have Prince JIDE AKINYOOYE. He will be joining us very shortly via the call. Okay, I think it's it. Prince, good morning, and thank you for joining us. But please hold on. All right, Prince, just hold on. Thank you for joining us in the studio with us this morning. Honorable Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Oluomo Kolakwo Alimi, is in the house. Good morning to you, sir. And
Good
thank
morning,
you for finding time to join us.
Good to have you here.
Good morning, Dada.
Prince AKINYOOYE, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Okay, let's take from your own side of the end there. IFON-OROLU, both communities are just next door neighbors. What is happening? Why this divide at this moment in time?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very sure everybody in Osun and in Nigeria are following what is happening. It started with starting of military projects in Opapa, of which the particular land in question belongs to Olufon and Orolu people. And the same land is subject to controversy just because there is a pending litigation at the Court of Appeal. So I think that was the beginning. But there are some other things that happen that led to Cold War. The issue of a citing military project has been laid to rest because what the military didn't know has been revealed to them. But the Cold War, which I said, necessitated clarification when there are misrepresentation of facts by one Jagun of Ilobu, Barrister Raifo Gushola. And that was the clarification we made. Everybody has image and will not like that image to be misrepresented. Then this one leads to the over-seriousness as mentioned by Ilobu representative. We saw this thing coming. I personally call attention of the Ilobu community that your people, we learned that your people are planning to attack our people. And that happened even less than 10 hours. So after the notification, they went to Ifon Muslim playground. At the middle of night, they started shooting. These people that were shooting, they ran away, and our people were working to arrest two of them with some charms and this and that, and we handed that over to the police. When we do that, the following day, the next thing is that we learned that they are regrouping to attack us. This is where we call the attention of the DSS and the Osun State Commissioner of Police, who acted promptly. But unfortunately, they were not succeeded in rescue Okala people, whom Ilobu have identified as home. Ilobu is a community, just like Okala is a community. These are different two communities with different royal fathers. Unfortunately for Okala people, the position of their royal father is vacant, just like IFON-OROLU Progressive Union, we have been doing everything possible to make sure that we are in charge of that area. And that is why we used to tell our people that whenever there is anything, leave it to the IFON-OROLU Progressive Union so that we take appropriate actions. This is what we have been doing, and that has been helping us in such a way to maintain peace in that community.
Prince,
thank you.
Yes, you've spoken about different range of issues, you know, the military project. You even said it has been laid to rest, fine. But then you spoke about an attack that happened. Now, let me ask you, who are the attackers? Who do they represent? Did you ascertain, you know, their interest? Of course. Who are they?
Well, the attackers are obvious. They are, let me use a legal language. The suspects we have arrested so far in IFON, the two of them, they are major Ilobu people. So they are the attackers. Then when you see what happened yesterday that led to the death of a young, Nigerian, medical doctor, who gets the guy is the future president. The attackers will bring from Ilobu because Abdullah is at the boundary of Record Local Government. They are very close to that Ilobu river.
All right.
So people without people to enforce people to fly during the daytime to go and spend that place and destroy property. I can tell you there are 11 people. And I'm aware DSS arrested 2 people.
All right.
I think they made the public know the outcome of the investigation. Because I don't want to,
preempt anything.
Say that this is the outcome. That would be biased.
All right, Prince JIDE AKINYOOYE, you are the Board of Trustees Secretary for the IFON-OROLU Progressive Union. When you said we have arrested, how do you mean we have arrested?
Thank you very much. These people came in the middle of night to IFON Central Movement Program. They were shooting sporadically. And the gunshot was so scary. But our people were so courageous to come out to attack, to resist this, because they want to invent the community. So along the line, they started running because they never believed if people can rise up to change them. So some ran away, and our people arrested 2 of them. We charged the guns and slippers of those that ran away, and we took them to the police station. And they identified themselves as one as a resident, and the individual of Ilobu, another one as an individual of IDOWU, but living in Ilobu.
Okay. All right, Prince JIDE AKINYOOYE.
You can contact me at State PID.
Okay. All right, don't worry. Well, we'll definitely say it as it is. We want to thank you most sincerely because of the want of time. And virtually we know that this will still fall on the decks of government. And the government representative is actually in the studio with us at this moment in time.
Sorry, Prince, before we allow you to go, I'd like to ask 2 questions. If you can do that in 1 minute. Number 1, the state government has declared a curfew, to forestall eventualities, bad eventualities, bad way. So let me ask you, what is the situation in IFON as at this morning? Number 2, the PRO of the Ilobu Descendant Union that we spoke about said many misinformation and misgivings, people peddling all kind of rumor is fueling these tensions. What's your take on that?
That is a complete fallacy. I can tell you that what caused this situation is the state government, not the government, not the administration of Ademola Adeleke. It was the administration of Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola who made a gazette in 2014 We have been shouting on this. It was based on this debate that Ilobu people are shouting, are clamoring that the land belongs to them. It was the fault of the government, which was never corrected. So how can government be unfair to people and people keep silent? We have to talk out. The problem is from the government, and it's the government that can resolve it. Let me remind you, it is the same defense, the nature of the defense that caused the crisis between Eri and Ilobu the other time, when the Ilobu people were fighting Eri. So Ilobu has fought Eri. They've killed, lives have been lost. Now, they are trying to fight us. Ifo people, they are never ready for any fight. And we have been, go and look at every record. As for the security, they will tell you, we don't fight in our place. Thank you.
We want to just urge you and residents to please, in the best of ways, let's try and find peace and calm to that community of yours. Thank you for joining us on Morning Spring Praise, and we wish you the very best.
We have always pleading to our people to remain calm as usual.
Please, they should.
We have confidence in the administration of this government that they can politically look into the report themselves. Because everybody knows that Olufo is the overlord, or let's say, Kenyan of the whole area.
All right. All right.
Olufo is ready for peace. Olu people are ready for peace. These people need land. We don't mind for, human sacrifice, but it's not as if anybody will impose what is unfair or not.
We'll get clarity from the side of the government. The government owns the land entirely, but we'd like to thank you, Prince, for your time. Coming back to the studio at this moment in time, Olumo Kwalagwalimi, thank you for your time. The Honorable Commissioner of Information and Public Enlightenment, Osun State. Thank you most sincerely for your patience and your time. You probably might have followed what is happening, and from what it was stated by both parties. We earlier had the PRO of IFON-OROLU Descendants Union. That's Mr. JARE TIAMIYU. We've heard Prince AKINYOOYE. Government, everything boils down to the table of government at this point in time. What is government? Aside the curfew that the government has imposed on these two communities, how will this issue be resolved?
Well, thank you.
What are the plans of the government?
I want to appreciate the Western Spring Television for this wonderful job, so as to promote peace in our states. I give kudos to you, both your television arms and the radio arm. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
And I agree the management and the founder of this fantastic organization. I equally greet the anchors.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, first and foremost, as you have rightly pointed out, the government has imposed curfew and the two local governments from 8 p.m. every day till 6 a.m. So we expect the security operatives to enforce the curfew so as to maintain law and order. At the same time, immediately it was brought to the attention of the government. Was it yesterday or day before yesterday? It was the police was contacted, and the security men, they were drafted to the police, and that forestalled a lot of things that will have been damaged. Having done that one, I believe the government will take further steps on this thing. But as I'm sitting there, I'm wearing two caps because that's the three communities happen to be my immediate community. I am from Eri. But I have a building in IFON. So my wife is also from Ilobu. So I know the genesis of what they are saying. You can only appeal to leaders to allow peace to reign. Prince has pointed out something now that is to me is not correct. the dispute between the three communities has been dated back to ages over the land. It didn't start during Arabic. In fact, Governor Ilola, there was a dispute like that, which our late Baba Oni intervened between Ilobu and IFON. And the committee was set up, a lot of committee upon committee. The one they are referring to in relation to Gazette happened to be a committee set up by the governors at that time to resolve the issue. And the committee was headed by Justice Titus Oyeyemi, not an indigene, and who contacted all the three of us. And as at that time, all the three of us, the late Olufa was alive. And it was just for stop peace, okay, final, this is your boundary, final, this is your boundary, final, this is your boundary. All the members of the committee, none of them happened to come from IFON, Ilobu, or any. So they are non-partisan. They resolved the issue and they gazetted it. And some people felt they are not all right with it. They challenged the gazette and the laws at the High Court and they appealed to the Court of Appeal. That is the issue. How can we now say the government at that time happened to cause the issue? This one too, the government would not do it by fear. The government will say, perhaps, I'm just speaking that in order to get to the root, if they say, okay, Mr. Latudidu and Femi Ojo, and other people go and look at it, and you resolve something and the government gazette that one. How could that one be government trying to cause a problem? But let us assume that somebody is not even happy with the position of the government. I think they have taken the right steps by going to court. And since somebody has won and lost in court, we have other, we are running a hierarchy of court in Nigeria. So it is better for us to wait for the outcome of what the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court will say. But however, in the interim, I strongly believe our governor yesterday, I discussed with him, we called, perhaps steps will still be taken. Perhaps that will resolve the entire something. But there is no way in life, if you don't have give and take, that things could be resolved. If at the end of the day, it resolved one way or the other, somebody will say has been cheated. You understand it? And I will not take it. So that means the thing will continue for life. And we should just know that we are only here temporarily. In this world, look at it, I told you, during the late Baba Oni came to IFON, and it was the Oba Orisato Igbo that was there, and it was resolved. Almost later on, our Rifa Kabisi, the Oliver of IFON then, Baba Orisato Igbo died, and another king came on board, Oba Magwagwiola Maruf Olmoyero, and that was during when another when Gazette was actually done, it led to litigation. Because some people, after you know, the leaders at times might not be the problem. The leader will see things from broader perspective. But some people say, okay, you have traded our line, you have traded our interests, so we will not agree. So the leader will now move back a little bit. Okay, if that's what you want, let us, okay, we'll challenge it in court, we will not agree. It was challenged in court. All right. You understand it? At the level of the High Court. And the appeal is still pending. So I just need to correct that one. There is no government that will come that now say you want to cause a crisis in one community or the other. But having said that one, I want to appeal to all our leaders, both in IFON, both in Ilobu, both in I told you, the first video I had is at Aitoro there in IFON. That's when I was, where I was living before I moved down to Eni, and before now that I'm living in Oshogo. So I have a house in IFON. I have a house in Eni. And my wife, who happened to be from Nidijo of Ilobu, she has a house in Ilobu too. So I happen to be somebody who have interest in all the three towns. You understand it? And look at it. Sometimes you go to, there was this land dispute between Eni and Ilobu, which led to people fled. In my house in Oshogo, in fact, it was just like a market. It's not palatable at all. Those people that are just trying to fuel this thing, they have to have a rethink. You can never tell who will be injured. You can never tell who will be the victim. And at the end of the day, you still have to come back to the round table and resolve this issue. So I think the best thing for us is that those of us that are leaders in the three communities, we must be able to speak to ourselves and to know that whether we like it or not, we have been neighbors. Look at the feud between Modakeke and our source, Ilefe. After many lives have been lost, after so many wars, they came back to round table to resolve. What about those lives that have been lost? It will still be resolved. This is a modern day that it's difficult for a community to be relocated. You cannot say, okay, this community, leave this place for this one. You have all been there, and you will continue to be there. It is just for us to fashion out, powerfully, fashion it out. How can we be living in peace? If they say, okay, at the end of the day, this is the boundary, and you all agree with it, live with it. You understand it? This is the boundary. Let us agree. Because there's no way, if you don't know the boundary, say it belongs to me, it does not belong to you. Even if it's just a plot of land, some people are ready to die because of it.
All right.
So what I'm saying in essence is that so far, the steps that have been taken by the government, the curfew, the security personnel has been drafted to that place. I believe further steps will be taken very, very soon. But those further steps will yield fruitful, will be successful if there is a will from the leaders to allow peace to reign.
All right.
That's just it.
All right. Commissioner Lomo Kolapo Alimi, you just spoke personally, you have interest in all of these communities, and then you were formerly a commissioner for local government and chieftaincy title. I mean, yeah, of course, chieftaincy issues, affairs,
correct.
You know, in the administration of Ogbeni Rafa Agbeshala. So you're a person who has a deep knowledge of what is really going on. And it appears the two persons we have spoken to this morning, they have spoken to their ability to trust the judgment of the state government to do what is right. You just had Prince talk about it as well, and then you have made some clarification. But one will say, there will always be issues. You have spoken to it yourself, either boundary, either communal, either some of these issues. But then speak to the matter. The PRO of the Ilobu Descendant Union said in his own view that so many misinformation is going on in their community, and he believes that is fueling. That in fact, when the curfew was spoken about yesterday, that many persons were saying, oh, they are bringing in people, we will not live in our lands, we are going away. And he said that is fueling so many things, especially on the social media. Please speak to this matter. What was the intention of the curfew?
Thank you very much. You know, it was when there is such a communal clash, you discover that just as I've rightly said, some people are just coming, they are coming in the middle of night to come and kill us. So people will be restless, and they might want to be moving from the danger zone to a safer zone. In their, because people say, if they come in, they will burn our house, they will kill us. And apart from that one, some people deliberately will continue to misinform the people that, you know, somebody has been killed, one of our indigents has been attacked. Whether the rumor is genuine or not, the only means by which you can curtail it is through curfew. What does curfew, what will it do? The curfew will restrict movement. What does that mean? And will restrict movement, both vehicular movement and movement of individual or group of people. What does that mean? No matter your intention, if you are going for legitimate something, don't go during that period. When the security operatives see you, they will not even, they will fall for arrest you before you explain whatever you're doing. Unlike other normal situations whereby you go to stop you, I'm going to so place and they allow you. They might not even stop you, they say, okay, because you still have rights to your freedom of movement anytime. But during that play, that right has been curtailed. So if you cannot explain why you are out during that period, you are going to be arrested and be prosecuted. And it's a strict liability offense. So that is the essence. But all this rumor that we are talking about, we are pleading to leaders. When you see the way it started, from the beginning, the olden days, till this present moment, trace it. The box stops at the table of the leaders, because if they say this is the boundary and this is the boundary for this thing, and the two of you agree with it, and your father say, no, where is the boundary? This is the boundary. Don't go beyond it. We have agreed. Don't go beyond. We have agreed. You see that your follower will not go. When you tell them, they have cheated us, this is supposed to be our boundary, and we are looking. Well, we will not agree. We will not agree. Our neighbor will not agree. Then they are ready to fight because they believe it's their interest. They believe you that what you have seen is correct, and deliberately you might have informed them. Perhaps you have interest. You understand it that let us continue to see what's going to happen. So it brought up to the table of the leaders in those communities. And those leaders that will be coming on radio and television to talk to, we should be sincere. It's one thing to say you want peace. It is another thing to work towards it.
Yeah.
Let us work towards peace. Don't let us say we want peace. I want peace. You know, you say it by mouth.
Yeah.
But your action will be saying something contrary. Yeah. And there is nobody out of the leaders, great respect, that if there is war, they will now say, okay, Wale, Kolakwa, Alimi, and so, Mr. Latunde, bring your child, let me bring my child, let us go and face something. You go and hide your somewhere. You understand it?
Absolutely.
So that means we are only promoting war. We will not want to face, we will not be in the forefront.
Consequence of
you understand?
war, yeah.
Briefly before I conclude, you know, there was this story of a Crises war. When you go into the history of that war, you discover that when the war started and Igbajo, what's the name of it? Okay, Messi people attacked the Ajele from Ibadan. The war of us sent some people there. The people overwhelmed them. Ibadan, the people from Ibadan, the people from Messi and some they overwhelmed them. Then the Arelatosa, who happened to be the king of Ibadan at that time, now dispatched full-fledged army to show them that they wanted to punish them. And the war was raging. And Arelatosa had a son who was just enjoying Ibadan. When the people at the war front, when they heard that the prince was actually lavishly enjoying the city, they said, Udantu will not carry out this way again. They now directed Kabiyesi, they sent a message to the Kabiyesi, the Arelatosa, to send that son to the war front, to come and see what they were Now, let me conclude on that one. When Latosa had it, that was I said, okay, no, I will not allow my son to go. I will go myself. Arelatosa went to that war, but didn't come out alive. You understand it? So what I want to bring out, it is until it is the people, the allies and the leader and the people are demanding that those leaders that are fueling the crisis should send their children to the war front. It's then that all these things will have to come down. But as long as it is other people's children, you continue to say you want peace, just like I'm saying it, that I will continue to fuel it underground, knowing fully well, I will not allow my children to face the war. So peace, 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 and peace. I want our people to walk the talk. That's just it.
It's been a pleasure also, and we want to just admonish the government at all levels to please, as much as you have been preaching this, please let's talk to all these leaders as one, not having advantage over the other. Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Kolakwa Alimi is the Commissioner, Honorable Commissioner of Information and Public Enlightenment. And we'd also like to say a big thank you to Prince JIDE AKINYOOYE, the Secretary Board of Trustees, IFON. Thank you for your time, and also the PRO of Ilobu Descendants. That's Mr. JIDE TIAMIYU.
Yeah.
Thank you as well, JARE TIAMIYU, beg your pardon, for being here on the show. Please, from here, we pray and we urge us, let peace reign. There's no development that can thrive if there ain't peace out there. So everybody in the studio, thank you for making it happen. We'll be back again tomorrow in another edition of the program, Morning Spring from Western Spring Television. TUNDE IDOWU is my name. Good morning from me.
All right. My name is FEMI Ojo. I do have a very productive week. God willing, we'll be back here tomorrow, 7 a.m. God bless Ocean State. God bless Nigeria. Bye-bye.
Take a little time to think things over. Better read between the lines in case I need it when I'm old.